sido un verdadero placer tenerles a bordo este día y esperemos poder verles otra vez.
¿Cuántas ovejas? ¿20?
Esta.
4 aquí.
Sí, porque no, que sea... Ay, tengo esta, pero estas otras se me murieron. Estas se la comieron el zorro.
Oh, sí. ¿Y chivas? ¿Cuántos chivas tiene?
Vea.
Bastante, ¿sí?
5.
5. Wanna come? Wanna esquiar? Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Great.
Hey there.
Hey, 20 minutes in.
So we're off to our first of 3 camps above the Rio Baker watershed, high above the Chacabuco Valley, where the Guanaco run free, the mountains stretch on forever, and the skiing should be pretty wild. The sun's coming out. Let's see, listen. Nice. That was so bad.
There goes down.
We spent our days climbing and skiing in these mountains of the Cordon Chacabuco, our senses totally overwhelmed by the wild nature of this place. A few years ago, the organization Conservación Patagonia bought the Chacabuco Valley, a former cattle and sheep ranch, and is now working to establish a new Chilean National Park here. But the dams proposed for the Rio Baker threaten to derail this effort. Breakfast time.
Is that good for you, Daddy? Something like that?
Springtime in the Rio Baker watershed brings snow, wind, sun, and rain, you name it. Woo! Nice, Sam. Nice and controlled.
The water's good here.
Being on the east side of the Rio Baker Valley and a bit farther from the Pacific Ocean, the Cordon Chacabuco region enjoys relatively dry, sunny weather in comparison to the west side of the Baker Valley up against the northern Patagonian ice sheet, where we'd be heading in a couple of weeks. And after a great week in Chacabuco, we decided to head to a nearby village to rest and resupply before heading deeper into the mountains here. In the lower part of the Chacabuco Valley, we encountered the herding of one of the last major sheep herds in the Rio Baker watershed, also a symbol of the shift toward an economy based on tourism and conservation. How's that feel? Still on the east side of the Rio Baker Valley, we're heading for Camp 2 in a larger mountain area known as the Henimani Reserve and hoping that an approaching storm goes easy on us.
This is an 80 miles an hour.
Really?
Go for it.
somehow managed some sleep that night, and the next morning woke to just a dusting of snow at camp, but the makings of our first legitimate powder day higher up in the peaks above. It wasn't long before the storm cleared and the winds calmed, and we were able to look out over the Rio Baker Valley with the hope that our society could spare this region from the profit-driven plans of a European corporation.
Es Ramón y Héctor, dos hombres que viven en la Valle Soler. Right, girl.
You get a picture of us?
I will when the sun.
After 2 weeks in the Chacabuco and Henimeni regions, we crossed to the west side of the Rio Baker Valley to head up one of the major tributaries of the Baker toward the northern Patagonian ice sheet.
Rain's turned to a little snow. We've been sitting around cooking up some hot bread.
So we made it to an old farmstead at the edge of the northern ice sheet, a place surrounded by spectacular peaks and the hanging glaciers that define the headwaters of the Baker and rumble and roar by day and by night. Our plan was to spend a week up here climbing and skiing in these mountains and exploring, at least getting a taste of the endless Patagonian wilderness that exists beyond the farmstead. This area is also home to the new Ice End Glacier Trail, a multi-day trekking route along the edge of the ice sheet that is fast becoming the backbone of this area's adventure tourism economy. There's no doubt that the headwaters of the Rio Baker make up one of the last great wild places on the planet. And to have a few beautiful days was a treat beyond all imagination, but it wasn't long before the next storm rolled in off the Pacific and threatened to swallow us whole.
Home sweet home.
While a blizzard raged above, it rained for nearly 2 straight days at our camp in the valley. But thanks to Hector Soto, a local Patagon who supplements his living supporting groups like ours up and down these river valleys, and who also feels like the damming of the Baker would be a terrible tragedy, we somehow made it back to the village we had left a week earlier, with smiles on our faces.
These kinds of days where you get soaked and you wonder why you ever left the fire you had for breakfast. But there's always another fire waiting for you somewhere. I guess I'm supposed to close this. That's usually the rule.